Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we're talking about a couple of things. First off, we're going to be talking about the new Torpedo Bug. So if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what the original Torpedo Bug was, with the update quite some time ago, torpedoes could be skewed if you were turning hard and trying to fire your torpedoes, as many a player would be in, of course, ships like destroyers, cruisers, and even battleships equipped with torpedoes, and having your torpedoes skewed one way or the other kinda sucks when you're trying to hit your target. Torpedoes, even when functioning normally, only have like maybe a 35 to 40% hit ratio, 40% being if you're very, very, very good with torpedo boats and like a master of the Shimakaze. Needless to say, so when your torpedoes are being skewed, that is quite, well, terrible. Now, this was something that was mentioned in the big apology letter that we got from Wargaming a few weeks ago, that they had fixed it within apparently about a week, but they had been testing it and doing a lot of QA on it over the past two and a half months because it dealt with the game's code. And granted, anytime you do anything with the game's code, any game that be it, it is very much a tricky situation because it's so easy to fix one problem in code and then mess up something else. And if you rush coding, you get games like Cyberpunk 2077, and those of you that played Cyberpunk during its launch week know what I'm talking about. So, unfortunately, it seems like that has come true. Because today, well, not really today, but when the patch dropped, there was, sure enough, a fix for the original torpedo bug, where when you're maneuvering hard and dropping your torpedoes, they would skew. That no longer happens. However, we have a new one. But, in my opinion, it's not nearly as bad because there's a pretty simple fix for it at the moment. So, if you are in a DD, cruiser, whatever, with torpedoes, and I tested this on 3 DDs, the Kamikaze, the Asashio, and the Smallman. You can be sitting completely still and trying to fire at a ship using the white line, and if you watch what happens here with the Smallland, if you have your cursor pointed down directly at the water close to your ship, the torpedoes go absolutely nowhere where you aimed. But if you have your cursor pointed directly at the ship when you fire your torpedoes, the torpedoes go exactly where you'd expect them to. So it's a pretty easy fix for the moment. Of course, this shouldn't be happening in game, and I'm not sure how this wasn't called in the two and a half months that they were supposed to be QA testing this, but apparently it wasn't. However, again, in my opinion, this isn't as big of a bug or as an issue as the previous one, because there is a way you can fix it in game just by pointing your cursor at the ship you're firing at. And honestly, when I do drop torpedoes from a distance, I do aim at the ship like I normally do when I'm aiming artillery. I just, of course, I'm firing torpedoes at that moment. So unless you're... And here's the thing, too. You probably saw some of the Kamikaze clips when I was a bit closer, because the Kamikaze torpedoes only have a 7-kilometer range, which is the 20-kilometer range of the Sashio and the 12-kilometer range of the Smallland. When you're close, it's, of course, not as dramatic of an effect. So the only time that I would be looking right down at the water would be because the ship was right next to me. Maybe if I'm like jousting with like the Gneisenau or Paulo Emilio or something like that. So from close range, it really doesn't have too much of an effect. Sure, you might miss a torp or two, and that is aggravating, but when you're in a close-in situation, it normally takes 1 or 2 torpedoes to finish off the ship you're brawling with. But of course, for ships like the Shimakaze and other torpedo boats, this is a pretty big deal. So just be aware for the time being. Look directly at the ship that you're trying to torpedo. Don't look at the water, and all will be good. Not like you're supposed to, of course, follow the white line 100% either way, because ships maneuver. So you normally have to either give your torpedoes a bit of a lead or set them a little bit behind the white line when you're torpedoing. But it can be annoying if you don't think about it and you drop your torpedoes and suddenly they go wildly off to the right. I mean, the first time this happened in the small and in the training room, I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty bad." But again, there's a pretty easy fix for it in game. So just be aware, guys, that if you are using torpedo boats, make sure you're aiming directly at the ship, or should I say, have your cursor directly on the ship. All right. So from the Waterline episode that they dropped, I think on Friday-ish, we have a couple of huge announcements and some information that we've definitely been waiting for quite some time. So one of the first things I went over was, of course, the German battleships, well, German battle cruisers that are coming out. We won't really be talking about that because we've talked about them pretty much. They don't add any new information here. They do mention, of course, the Tier 6 Soviet Julius Caesar, the Novorossiysk, however you say it. I'm sorry, I'm not Russian. But then, on top of that, they add in the long-awaited Repulse. We finally know how we're getting the Repulse, and it's in the Marlborough's Dockyard event. So, this is a good or bad thing in my opinion, and it depends on how exactly it's coming out. Now, we can look back at the previous dockyards. Since they started throwing in premium ships with these dockyard ships, they've always been around the midpoint of the dockyard, which is a good thing, because you could get this ship for free then. Because all you have to do to progress your dockyard event is just complete the combat missions. And looking back at the dockyard events we've had since the Puerto Rico event, the dockyard missions have been quite easy up to the midway point. Now, they normally start getting hard in, like, I would say the last, like, last third of the dockyard. And keep in mind, when I say hard, they're still nowhere near as hard as the original dockyard missions for the Puerto Rico. Those ones were pretty nutty. So, yeah, it seems like we can potentially get the Repulse completely for free. All you have to do is play through the dockyard and get to the halfway point, and that's it. There's your Repulse. Again, going off of what we've seen in the past, it should be around the halfway point. They didn't say where it's going to be at in the dockyard, so we don't know 100% for sure, but I'd be willing to bet it's at the halfway point. That's where all the other ones have been, unless they're throwing in another premium, like with the, what was it? Was it the Odin or the Hizen that had a tier 5, then a tier 6 premium thrown in there, and they were at separate points in the dockyard phases. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head right now. Unless it's a situation like that, it should be about the halfway point. It should be a pretty easy thing to grind, mainly just by playing the game, really, and just completing the missions and turning in the tokens. So it's pretty good news if that's the case. I'm assuming we'll get more information as the dockyard event comes closer to release. We still have, I think, another patch to go with the 7 Provinces dockyard, and I'm assuming the Marlborough is the next one. So pretty good news if it's like the previous dockyards, free Repulse. And like I told you guys before, I was still planning on getting the Repulse even after the whole crap went down with the CC walkout and Little White Mouse and now all the other crap that's going on, because Repulse is one of my favorite historical ships and I very much want to play it in game, and it looks like we'll be able to get it for free. So that's a huge plus in my book if that is true. Alright, other big news, and I might be making another video saying I was wrong. So, we're getting more super ships, not just super battleships, but super ships. So, I'm going to read this section from the dev blog, word for word, and as always, the link to this will be in the description down below, as well as the link to the Waterline video if you want to see it there. So, super ships in ranked battles. In World of Warships, players are able to fight not just aboard historical ships. Plenty of the in-game designs were either planned in real life but never constructed, or constitute our own what-if guesses. That's very true. In Update 10.5, when we held the Grand Battle event dedicated to the super battleships, a hypothetical development of the large artillery ship concept, in real life, creating this magnitude of steel giants became pointless due to the development in naval aviation. However, during this event in World of Warships, players had the opportunity to feel and enjoy the awesome power of these ships in battle, which we appreciated immensely. To us, super ships became not just a unique approach to portraying the natural evolution of history of shipbuilding, but also gave us a chance to try a brand new mechanic, adjustment fire. The incredible potential of the super ships and players' interest in them made us consider the fate of these still behemoths in our game. We decided that the unusual gameplay supplied by these ships could diversify previously existing battle types. Therefore, at the end of this fall, players shall be able to sail back into battle aboard super ships, this time in a special season of ranked battles. Aside from 2 familiar super battleships, Satsuma and Hanover, we are planning to add several more super ships. Among them French and American cruisers and the Japanese and Soviet destroyers. These ships are going to have access to special mechanics that differ from the adjustment fire present on the battleships. We will share the details about these ships and their special mechanics as well as the information about the ranked season closer to its start. Stay tuned. Okay, so the reason why I might have to release the video saying I was wrong is because plenty of players commented on the Super Battleships videos that I did covering that event that these were eventually going to become like tier 10 premium ships, the Satsuma and the Hanover. I still am leaning toward that not becoming true. However, with this event happening now where they're adding in even more super ships in terms of new super cruisers and super destroyers, maybe eventually in the future, it just depends on how nutty these ships are. But, I mean, the Super Battleship event was fun. From my experience and from what I've seen throughout the community, just about everyone really enjoyed it. It was a nice derpy mode where your stats didn't really count, so those players are normally very, very cautious of damaging their stats one way or another. They just kind of went for it. And plus, it was a very easy way to grind up through your tier 9 ship if you're grinding a line. And it was a lot of fun. The Satsuma and Hanover were just barrels of fun. The Hanover especially, 14 kilometer secondaries when you got your adjustment fire bonus. That was truly fun. Now, of course, these new super ships, a super Soviet destroyer, I can only imagine a Khabarovsk on crack, which I really would like a lot. So, please, Ouija, give. But anyway, super cruisers too. What's really interesting too is we already have super cruisers in game. So, like, you know, of course, the Stalingrad, the Yoshino, Azuma, Alaska, all that jazz. Or battle cruisers, depending upon who you ask. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with these super cruisers. The Americans, who know, they may go into like some of the 1960s and 70s design. Same with the French. I don't know. Now, supposedly this week, actually, there's supposed to be a dev blog with the images and details of these ships released. And they said they're going to have different mechanics too, besides just the adjustment fire mechanic, which was with the Satsuma and the Hanover. The more shots you took at a target and got closer to a target, you then got an accuracy bonus on top of that for the Satsuma. Then for the Hanover, you got a secondary range bonus to where you can have your secondaries go out to 14 kilometers, which was insane. And just, I giggled so much. You can go watch the videos that I did on the Hanover and the Super Battleship event when that was out. It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed it. Alright, final section of the dev blog. Graphical improvements. So again, I'm going to read this one straight from the dev blog. We are constantly working on improving the visuals in World of Warships. This fall, you can expect one of the most significant graphical updates the game has ever had. Water simulation will be completely reworked. This means new realistic waves that constantly change their form and height. Swaying ships, dynamic sea foam, all new wake effects, and other visuals. Along the water, the terrain and the battle maps will be renewed. Land masses will receive new highly detailed textures as well as a whole bunch of new animations. The process of updating maps is a long and laborious one. For that reason, similar to when we switch to a new lighting model, the maps shall be updated gradually. We will begin with the Philippines port and the Two Brothers and Hotspots maps. Flora on islands will be updated. There are new models for trees and underwater vegetation that will be added, and overall the quantity will be increased. This will allow us to create highly detailed forest, make the underwater world richer. Please all that information blah 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 published on our game's website. Okay, so new shiny stuff. I like new shiny stuff. I've made it no secret that I'm a little graphics hoe. I like when my game looks pretty. And this new water, and sadly the waterline video is only in like 720p apparently, So it looks a little pixely, but you can tell the water looks so much better. So does the wake and the foam and stuff. And this looks really, really, really nice. And hopefully with this new water engine or whatever they're doing with it, they'll be able to add in maybe some more rougher seas and such, like when the cyclone's moving through, because all the cyclone does right now, the lighting goes down a little bit. You get some rain effect on your screen, and you get that, of course, the fog effect where you can only see so far. Some rougher waves and maybe some more wind effects, and your ship rocking a bit harder would be much better. So hopefully we'll eventually get there with that. And of course the maps being made to look better, the better foliage and stuff is really, really, really needed. Now, not granted, you don't really look at the islands a whole lot in the game right now, but if you ever do look at them, yeah, you can definitely tell this game was released 6 years ago, being that we are, of course, on the 6th anniversary of the game right now. Not that even by today's standards, the things that they have changed with the game, they aren't, of course, like amazing graphics by today's standards, but what they have updated, like the particle effects for the muzzle blast, and just the whole graphical rework that we got a little while ago, it's definitely good by today's standards, but of course not mind-blowing, because of course they want people to be able to play this game on as they would hope, a wide variety of machines, so they can't go too nutty with it. But of course this is good change. And of course, art department, hats off to you guys as usual. Apparently some of the most hardest working people over there at Wargaming, and maybe we should throw one or two of them in the Q&A section, and maybe the balancing department as well. But again, hats off to the art department for this. I cannot wait to see this get added to the game. So guys, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments down below. The torpedo bug, like I said, it is a big issue, but thankfully there's a way to mitigate it just by pointing your cursor at the ship. Super ships, I'm interested to see where this goes. I still don't think they'll be added to the game as premium ships. The super battleships, I mean, like, if they would be added as premium, they would be absolutely just wrecked by the amount of HE and CVs. The super cruisers and super destroyers, we'll see. We don't even know exactly what those are yet, but again, supposedly later this week that is becoming available. The Repulse being in the dockyard, again, that's good news, because you can get a free tier 6 premium, that we've been waiting for forever. Again, we'll see exactly where she's at in the dockyard grind. If it's at where it's been in the past, it should be right in the middle. So again, an easy grind to get her. It just might take a little while. And graphical improvements, again, hats off to the art department. Let me know what you guys think about those in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful Monday. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 30,000 subs. I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Again, hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.